It was barely dawn when I stepped onto my porch, coffee mug steaming in the cool air, ready to tend the garden my late wife, Emily, and I had poured our hearts into for 2 decades. The roses, tulips, and lavender usually greeted me with bursts of color, but that morning, something was wrong. The air carried a sharp, chemical sting. I froze. My flowers were limp, browned, and scorched at the edges, like they'd been torched by an Cybele flame. The mug slipped from my hand, shattering on the steps. My garden Emily's legacy was dead. I knelt beside the marigolds, now crusted and lifeless, and the smell hit me. Bleach, unmistakable, like a punch to the gut. The soil reeked of it, burning my nose as I grabbed a handful. My hand shook with rage. I knew exactly who did this. Susan. Every neighborhood has its tyrant. But Susan was our 6 feet of self-righteous fury in gaudy floral blouses, HOA president for 9 insufferable years, and the self-crowned queen of everyone's lawns and morals. Susan despised my garden, called it a VY Sewell assault that broke some vague HOA harmony clause. She'd cited me before once for red mulch, another time because my lavender lured too many bees, and just last month she tried to have my hydrangeas ripped out for looking too bold. I fought back every time, armed with the bylaws that proved I was in the right. She'd flash her fake smile and say, "Well, I tried. I thought that was the end. I was wrong." Fury drove me inside to the drawer where I kept my security camera USBs. I jammed one in my laptop and scrolled through the footage. Midnight, nothing. 2 a.m., a raccoon in the trash. Then, at 3:17 a.m., a hooded figure slunk into VYEW, clutching a jug. They poured liquid over every flower bed, every pot, even the grass under the maple tree. I zoomed in. The hood slipped, revealing Susan's unmistakable smirk, her gaudy pearl necklace glinting in the night VY shown. My blood boiled. This wasn't a prank. This was war. In daylight, the damage was worse. Dead grass, melted carrots in the vegetable patch, and Emily's lilies reduced to sludge. Behind some ornamental grass, I found a bleach bottle nearly empty and a pair of pink gardening gloves monogrammed with a SP. I bagged them like EVY Denke from a crime scene and called the police. The officer, barely out of high school, seemed more interested in his phone than my story. I showed him the footage, the bottle, the gloves. He shrugged. No clear face shot, and she could say she was on her side of the fence. He suggested I file a complaint with the HOA. I laughed bitterly. Susan saw the HOA. I spent the day photographing every inch of ruin, VYing the footage on 5 drives, stashing them like they were state secrets. By afternoon, I heard laughter next door. Through the fence slats, I saw Susan in her oversized sun hat, sipping iced tea with her HOA cronies, probably the same ones who'd banned my non-standard fence paint. One sneered, "Hope he kept the receipt for those roses." My fists clenched. That evening, an HOA envelope appeared on my doorstep. Inside, a notice. I was fined due law $2,000 for improper chemical disposal. Susan had poisoned my garden and was now billing Sami Saw for it. The insult burned hotter than the fine. I stood in the wreckage of Emily's lilies, reading the notice again. It accused Sami Saw of endangering the neighborhood with chemicals, saw her saw bleach. I called the HOA office, but the secretary, Linda, said, "President Susan has full authority." A board meeting was already set to escalate my fine. The next night, the community center was packed. Susan presided like a dictator in a suburban throne room. I brought my EVY Denke VY Deo stills, gloves, bleach bottle, but she cut me off. Her friend Nancy read a fabricated witness report claiming I'd been seen pouring liquid in my garden. When I finally spoke, they dismissed my VY Deo as inconclusive and claimed the gloves could have been planted. Susan's fake sympathy made my skin crawl. The board doubled the fine to due law $4,000. When I laughed in disbelief, she warned I could face legal action or expulsion for hostility. Outside, I cornered a neighbor, Tom, whose kids love my garden. "Why didn't you speak up?" I asked. He glanced nervously. Susan cited me for my daughter's flamingo lawn ornament. I can't risk a fight with her. That's how she ruled through fear. Soon, My mailbox overflowed with anonymous flyers from Susan's Garden Safety Committee, warning about hazardous gardeners. My address wasn't listed, but everyone knew. I became the neighborhood pariah. The city zoning office handed me a pamphlet. My insurance company said vandalism wasn't covered without a con VY time. Even a local news channel ghosted me. Susan strutted around, parking her golf cart by my driveway, once suggesting I replant with neutral boxwoods to lift the fines. I just stared until she squirmed. I was unraveling. That garden was my sanctuary, every petal a piece of Emily. She'd said, "Flowers speak what hearts can't." Now it was gone, bleached away by a woman who found hydrangeas offensive. I felt trapped, cornered by a system rigged against me. Then, one night, an envelope slid under my door. No address, just a note. I saw her. "I have proof, but I'm scared. Promise no names, and I'll help." It included a phone number and a time. Hope flickered. At 10 p.m., I dialed, hands trembling. A woman answered, voice low. "I live on Elm Street, behind Susan. I saw her that night, hoodie and all, pouring something." I recorded it from my office window. My pulse raced. "You saw recorded, saw it." She was a writer, often filming for ambient sound. "I'll send it, but never saw use my name. I've seen what she does to people." 10 minutes later, a video hit my inbox clear. Zoomed-in footage of Susan at 3:17 a.m., pearls gleaming, pouring bleach like she was watering a lawn. Her face was undeniable. The next morning, I filed a CIVYL complaint with a new EVY Denke, backed by my lawyer friend, Mark. We demanded due law $100,000, due law $50,000 for the garden, due law $25,000 for emotional distress, due law $25,000 for defamation from Susan's flyers. That night, Susan struck back. In the neighborhood WhatsApp, she posted a tearful voice message claiming I'd faked the video to destroy our harmony. She called me unstable and announced an emergency HOA meeting. Worse, the city clerk put my complaint on hold, citing HOA arbitration rules. Susan countersued, saw for defamation. Then the HOA suspended my membership, no voting, no pool, no voice. Kids stopped while VYing. Someone egged my garage. A dead plant appeared on my porch with a note, "Grow up." I drove to Emily's grave, an hour away, and laid a white rose on her stone. I tried to keep it alive. "Emily," I whispered. She took it, and they let her. Silence settled over me, then resolve. Susan wanted a public war? I'd give her one. I've been documenting everything, every flyer, fine, and veiled threat since her first note 6 years ago. Now, with the new video, photos of her trespassing, and Mark's discovery that she'd used HOA funds for personal expenses, like billing my garden's cleanup, I had a case. Mark grinned. "That's embezzlement. We can go to the DA." I emailed every HOA board member except Susan, attaching the EVY Denke and a warning. "Back her and your co-defendants in a misappropriation case." By morning, 3 members distanced themselves. One asked if resigning would clear him. I pitched the story to a local paper's Consumer Watch column. Widower's garden poisoned by HOA tyrant, then fined for her crime. The journalist bit, especially with the video. The story would drop in 2 days. Meanwhile, Susan planned her spring Serenity Social, a pastel-soaked HOA gala. I struck first, booking the clubhouse for the same day, exploiting a rule she wrote. First paid reservation wins. I beat her by minutes. My event? Truth and Trowels, a garden rebirth fundraiser. I sent in VY noting local news would attend. The neighborhood buzzed. The day arrived. Cars expecting Susan's lemon bars found my banner, Truth and Trowels, hosted by the victim of HOA abuse. Tables displayed highlighted HOA bylaws and potted flowers. A projector looped Susan's bleach attack, her face clear. The crowd grew, neighbors, city officials, a news crew. Mark stood ready with court papers. Susan rolled up in her golf cart, dressed like a royal, her face collapsing at the banner. "This is my event," she shrieked. I held up my reservation receipt. "Check the timestamp." She froze. I took the mic. "Most of you know my garden, the one I built with my late wife, Emily. It was my therapy, her memory. Someone destroyed it. I nodded to Mark. The VY Deo played, Susan muttering, "Let's see you replant saw, you stubborn fool." Gasps rippled. Susan screamed, "It's a deep fake." Then another recording. Susan at an HOA meeting, laughing about my tears. The anonymous neighbor stepped up. I filmed her. I was scared, but no more. The crowd buzzed, some furious, some thrilled. Mark handed Susan the lawsuit papers. Due law 100,000 for destruction, defamation, distress, and embezzlement. "The DA's next," he said. Susan stammered, "Embezzlement." Mark listed her fraudulent invoices. She was done. The news footage went viral. HOA president caught poisoning garden, sued at her own party. Susan was ousted as president. 3 board members quit. Her countersuit vanished. She left a sorry note. I tossed it. With the settlement, I rebuilt the garden boulder with a wisteria shaded bench for Emily. Kids returned. Neighbors brought flowers. A sign read, "This garden speaks for us all." Tom's daughter waved. "Are you the garden man again, Mr. James?" I smiled. Always was. Susan now lives at the neighborhood's edge, her yard barren, her presence a whisper. The garden isn't just Emily's Anna Maria, it's peace reclaimed. I knelt in the soil, smiled at the sky, and knew she'd be proud. What do you think? Was I right to expose Susan publicly, or should I have settled quietly? Could the neighbors have stopped her sooner? Should HOAs have this much power? Drop your thoughts below. Like and subscribe for more stories of justice.